Hayley Kaplan versus Titan Transnational. Two tier 2 decks clashing at each other. But when you have pilots behind both decks that know what they're doing, you are going to get some epic games. And this is what it is. This was a very good game, and I highly encourage you all to watch it despite it being so long. Trust me, it was a very good game. It's a tug of war both ways that lasted pretty long. And that's the kind of games I enjoy. Okay, so onto my deck. This is a Magnum Opus based deck. MO economy is very strong right now, so I think it's good to play it. The problem is the tempo hit you take when you install it. Same problem as Professional Contacts. Need to mitigate it somehow, otherwise you will just lose flat out early on. And to that end, I have Stim Hack to combo with 3 copies of each SMC and Personal Workshop, so this should, in at least half of my games, Magnum Opus should come out pretty easily. Alright, I keep this opening hand. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm always looking for either card draw or Stim Hack in my opening hand, and neither are here. I guess I wanted to get a hand that will allow me to start quickly, and Personal Workshop into Magnum Opus seems like a decent way to start. So that's exactly what I do, along with a single draw that, well, I'm too lucky here, that drew me into the Stim Hack that I was looking for. So this is a very ideal first turn. I have Magnum Opus set up ready to be liberated at any time. I've got an Astrolabe turn 1, which means that I just gain 1 free card, and I'll gain quite a few free cards throughout this game thanks to this. So I waste no time here getting my Magnum Opus out, and that's the awesome thing about playing in Hayley Kaplan as opposed to Chaos Theory Stim Shop, because I spend 4 credits on the Magnum Opus, I can actually spend another 4 credits installing something from my hand. This is something that most Chaos Theories can't even do. So not only am I not wasting the extra surplus Stim Hack credits, I'm actually using it towards building my rig. So I can just build up very quickly, and this is something that no other runner is capable of doing. And against Wayland, you definitely want to get your dog out ASAP. Now, if you notice just now, I played the Stim Hack so early on with only Deus Ex and a clone chip in my hand. That was quite important. I wanted to make sure that the brain damage would not hit something important, a key combo piece or something important in my hand. I could afford to lose either Deus Ex or a single clone chip, and that is why that's why I wanted to play the Stim Hack immediately, as opposed to waiting for an opportune time to run HQ or R&D. Also, I let him get the private contracts off because I can match him click for click, 2 credits per click with Magnum Opus, so that's fine. Here he installs Jackson, allows me to draw 1 more card. So now I have a York in my hand, a lot of card draw, and a clone chip. Looks pretty good. The extra Personal Workshop, I do not need more than 1 workshop. 1 is good enough, so that's something to think about. I had a mem chip on the workshop, so I liberated it at the end of my turn so that I could install the clone chip for my hand. This is because I want to clear my hand as quickly as possible this turn, because I know I want to play Diesel. So I try to get as many cards out of my hand as possible so that I'm not forced to discard anything important. Look at the stuff in my hand right now. I do not want to discard any of these as far as possible. York is retrievable via clone chip, but I want to try my best to install it from hand rather than to fetch out clone chip. Clone chip should be reserved for stuff that require recurring, and I have a strong feeling I'll need to recur my dog a lot in this game. Now I'm playing very passively on the central simply because he still has more money than me. I need to respect the threat of Sea Scorched or Punitive Counter-Strike. But here it seems like he's rushing out for an agenda, so I'm going to contest it. First I host the Mimic on Workshop, then I take some money off Magnum, then I run. If he reses Ice against me, I can be pretty sure I'll still be able to survive a mid-season Seesaw Straits after that. So all he shows me are a couple of cheap ice that I can easily break because of the Mimic on Workshop. And I trash the Capital Investors. I can allow him to get private contracts off, but I cannot allow him to get a perpetual Magnum Opus on his side. So that needs to be trashed. Anyway, I'm already all the way in the server. Of course I trash it. But because I made a run, he forces me to trash something from my rig. The weird thing here is that he chose to mill 1 card with this. I think he did not see the fact that I had an SMC out. So of course I dumped the SMC because I can always get it back with clone chip later. I could dump the Astrolabe. I know I have a duplicate copy in my deck, but I'm not going to rely on drawing it. So I'll just dump the SMC. It's not that important anyway. Now that I have 2/3 of my rig out, I just need the York out and I'm good to go for the small ice. For the big ice, I actually packed David in my deck. This is a very, very powerful surprise. And so is this, Ichi 1.0 in Wayland. That is awful. So I'm gonna do two things at once. I'm gonna get my SMC out, which grabs my sharpshooter, which I use to break the Ichi. In the meantime, I do get the imp out of my hand. Click compression for the win. So I break through the Ichi and I see he has 6 credits left. Do I continue into the server? Do I think he's running another Ichi? I don't think so. Let's hit it. Verumati. Easy to break. Let's access one card. Hopefully it's the agenda I'm looking for. No, it's a Taurus. Go away. I don't want to deal with Taurus. Taurus can be powerful. I know I have David, which easily eats through Taurus, but I'd rather save my recursion for Cerberus if possible. And anyway, I'm only getting one run on HQ, so I might as well make use of Imp while I'm there. Back into the remote. He does install something in there. I doubt it's an agenda, so I let it go. I'm going to poke R&D and see if he reses anything. If he does, it probably indicates that that is not an agenda. If he doesn't, I might want to contest it. So he reses an Ichi again against me. Sick. So sick. I could prepare for one Ichi, but I didn't expect the second one on R&D. That's a huge loss. I have Net Radii in my deck to deal with that. Unfortunately, it hasn't come out yet. At least I'm getting rewarded for my efforts with a high-risk investment, but losing that Magnum Opus is huge, especially when I don't have any form of recursion in my hand. To make things worse, yes, I'm very, very reliant on Magnum Economy, and all my Magnum Opuses are in the bin, so I need to dedicate a clone chip or scavenge to find that Magnum Opus. That's not good, and it looks like he's playing Rig Denial with all the Ichis, so I need to find my Magnum Opus before he gets a blacklist out. Alright, so I find the Net Ready Ice, which came a bit too late, but well, I'll get it out. And it snipes off a couple of my breakers. In the meantime, he does reveal a Melange in that remote. Again, I have to contest it, so I'm definitely going in. But I draw into my Stim Hack, and that's perfect. Yes, Stim Hack will allow me to install Magnum Opus for free once I find another clone chip. The problem is finding that clone chip. So I'm spending more time than usual digging. Usually I'll just be hitting Opus at this point, but without Opus, now all I can do is dig till I find heap recursion. Sadly, SMC is useless. There are no Magnum Opuses left in my heap. In my stack. And I continue power drawing through my stack. I don't see any recursion. 3 scavengers and 1 or 2 clone chips still stuck in my stack. Very annoying. All I can do right now is to load up Personal Workshop and chuck some useless cards. This is not looking good. Not at all. I know he's playing Power Shutdown. I'd much rather have the SMC out on the table to soak up the Power Shutdown. That is my biggest strategy against anyone running Power Shutdown to counter Net Ready Ice. With 3 SMCs, I should be able to pad my Net Ready Ice well enough. Now he installs a new remote and guards it with a single piece of ice. I don't think it's an agenda. Even if it is, it's fine. I just need to get my Opus out. So I scavenge the SMC for the Opus, and I installed my David from hand while I'm at it. In the meantime, he scores what confirms... his score confirms his deck type. He's running Rig Denial. He just played a Chronos project, and it exiled my entire heap of 30 or so cards. Well, no, 18 cards. The good news is I'm not relying on my heap too much. I don't run same old thing. I don't run Levi AR Level Access. The one piece of horrible news. I'm not sure if he picked up on this. He milled my only decoder. My York is in the bin. From Net Ready Ice, the 2 meat damage hit the York. The York is out of action. I have no decoders in my deck. I am screwed. So, while I'm sitting here pondering over my fate, I run into a lapdog, which is barking on my tail, and realizing that I don't run Parasite in this deck, I'm forced to eat the subroutine. Oh dear, dear, dear. Could this get any worse? Well, I could defend against it with Fem, but wasting a Fem on a 0 strength ice is just stupid, so I'm just gonna let it fire. I get to pick the hardware, that's the good news. I'm definitely not going to trash my RNDI. It's down to the Cyber Solutions membership or the Astrolabe. But I chose Net Ready Ice instead, knowing that I still have one more copy in my deck. And of course, I jack out at that point because without Net Ready Ice, I can no longer break through Ichi. Well, actually, I could, but yeah, I should have declared that I was obviously using Net Ready Ice on Mimic before the run started, but anyhow, I just jacked out and gained more money instead. So, this is not looking very good right now. Without Net Ready Ice, the centrals are basically locked shut. I'm not going to waste clicks clicking through Eli. What I need is to find that Net Ready Ice right now, and I found it. So what I'm going to do is to install Plus Creep from Workshop, and off the Hayley install, perform the install on Net Ready Ice and soak up the damage with Plus Creep. So this is a very nice combo that I have, even against what seems to be a non-scorched earth Wayland. I'm still able to make good use of Plus Creep to soak up the damage from Net Ready Ice. And that's pretty important because I actually want to keep all the stuff that I have in my hand right now, except for Personal Workshop. Vamp could prove to be very crucial, especially since he's so poor now. And the fact that I cannot break any code gates at all means that Vamp might be my only way through his remotes. So that's something worth thinking about. The other out I have against code gates would be Femme Fatale, which is slowly taking down Personal Workshop. This is the reason why I'm not rampaging on his R&D yet, even though I have 2 R&D eyes ready to go. I could easily Fem his Ichi and just run through like crazy until I find enough agendas to win. I can't do that. I need to save the Fem for code gates that end the run. You have to be wary of him running Enigmas, Lotus Fields, and the like. I'll need to save my Fem for that, otherwise a single code gate on any server will lock it shut. So, do I challenge this remote? I should. It seems like a scoring window because my dog has ran out of tokens. But I do have another dog ready to go, and I have a scavenge in hand. I use the scavenge, and I stim hack into his remotes. The stim hack here is important because my Mimic is gone. He fired off Will o' the Wisp when I was running through HQ that one time. So the Mimic's stuck at the bottom of my deck. So I'm forced to trace through Caduceus, which costs 5 credits. And I have 4 credits left. He reveals the Jackson Howard, and I use those credits to shake off some power counters of Femme Fatale and RNDI. Those are the 2 important stuff I need to get out soon. Especially the Femme. Leaving the Femme on 1 power token is very important. It means that I can bypass any ice easily. Now, bad news, the stim hack sniped off my Vamp. So that line of play is out. I cannot Vamp him to challenge his remotes anymore if I suspect a code gate. I'll just have to hope that the Femme goes on the right target. Here he installs a new piece of ice and what seems to be an agenda. Do I go for it? Tough call. I have no idea. But what I do know is that I have 2 R&Dis almost ready to go and a third one in my hand. So R&D looks like the server of choice right now. So here, yep. If my line of thought here is this, if he scores a 3-2 or ooh, that's not an agenda, that's Blacklist. My worst fear came true. Blacklist is out. So here's the question. Now with no cards left in your stack, but with a rig more or less set up, you've drawn the last card in your deck, the Mimic is finally drawn. Do you go for the Blacklist or the R&D lock? I have 2 cards that are affected by Blacklist. Clone Chip and Scavenge are nullified if I don't kill the Blacklist. So first click is obviously install Mimic. And then I pump Magnum twice and run the Blacklist. I prioritize Recursion. Recursion is essential for refreshing my dogs, and more importantly for scavenging the Femme. I need to be able to scavenge Femme in case he reses code gates on a different server that I wish to attack. Alright, he plays Power Shutdown for 0. I have no other hardware programs other than Net Ready Eyes that cost 0. This is the nail in the coffin. That's what happens when you lose all your SMCs. That's what happens when you don't protect your Net Ready Eyes. I can't get through the Ichis anymore. Or can I? Yeah, I have Fem. So Fem's my only option. I run into R&D. Let's see what he has. It's a Caduceus. Now here I make a mistake. I was still in no Mimic mode. Because I played the later half of this game without a Mimic. It's stuck at the bottom of my deck. So I was thinking, I can't break Caduceus unless I bring my Fem out, and I don't want to bring my Fem out. So I ended up asking him to trace the Caduceus, which was a mistake. I should have broken the first subroutine of Caduceus with Mimic, and then jacked out. So yeah, a bit careless there. I was just running R&D to probe what kind of ice he has there. Turns out it's a Caduceus. I'm gonna leave it, and I'll hit Magnum Opus. So this is the good thing about Magnum Opus. It's actually doing a good job in keeping me afloat this game, making sure that I don't blow open scoring windows for him. So, alright. So I do Fem the Ichi, I bring it out of Workshop, and now it's time to hit R&D very hard. With 4 cards seen every single run, this should win me the game. Breaking Mimic, and paying 3 to bypass Ichi. I hope this is not a code gate. This better not be a code gate. It's a wraparound. Thank goodness. He can't defend his R&D. I see 4 cards, Private Contracts. NAPD, Steel, Will-O-the-Wisp, Trash. So our 4 cards, 2 of them were destroyed. And I pass the turn over to him, and I'm now at match point. What does he do right now? Can he defend R&D? No. Instead, he decides to go for the total lockout by Chronos Project, using Chronos Project on me once more. The second Chronos Project doesn't really matter, because all the programs that I need are in play right now. So that didn't really matter. All I need to do is to just keep running until I find the last agenda. Unfortunately, that last run yielded nothing. 3 cards I couldn't trash and a Mark Yale, which I didn't want to trash. So Scavenge is the 1 card left in my hand, and it really is the ace up my sleeve. I don't think he'll see a Scavenge Fam coming, and that could very well make or break the game. In the meantime, he does use Reclamation Order to reclaim a Will-O-the-Wisp on R&D. Now, this is one of the few mistakes he made through the game. If you think about it, you realize that Will-O-the-Wisp does absolutely nothing in this position. He can only either bounce back my Mimic or my Dog. If he bounces back Dog, I'll be very happy. He's doing me a favor by recurring my Dog tokens. He cannot bounce Fem back because I'm not using Fem to break subroutines. I'm using her to bypass completely. So with that, I thought to myself, there is no point in running R&D. It's not very cheap. It cost me a Dog token, and worst of all, I've already dug through most of it the last turn. So instead of going for R&D, I'll hit HQ. I'm pretty sure his agenda flooded. And I click through the Ichi, see 1 card, it's the game winning, NAPD contract. Boy, was that an exhilarating game. The scoreline certainly doesn't do the game justice. He almost had me. The double Chronos Project was the kick in the nuts. And thankfully, he didn't find any code gates to go with it. In fact, I think he told me he didn't pack a single code gate because he was basing his deck off Uncorrodable, which is good. It is very effective. He really crippled me with his very well-timed use of tools. The Will-O-the-Wisp slowed me down so much, preventing me from going to the centrals, breaking Ichi with Mimic Net Ready Eyes. Power Shutdown denied Net Ready Eyes, and the Chronos Project denied my York. But this is the thing. Had he had any end the rank code gates, he would have won. Having ice diversity is helpful even if you're going in on the barrier plan. Even if it's used as a gear check, it's still very good because it forces the runner to spend 5 credits for York, even 4 credits for a Gordian Blade. That's almost always worth it, giving you opportunities to create scoring windows yourself. So moving on to Hayley's ability. As you notice the counter, I counted 6 users of her ability, which is pretty decent. It doesn't fire off as often as Kate's ability does, but what's more important is that it achieves roughly the same amount of work as Kate. Don't forget that 1 click is essentially worth 2 credits because of Magnum Opus in this deck. More importantly, it opens up the ability for you to install stuff from your grip during a run, and that's pretty huge. This means that combos is so incredibly well with Stim Hack, and for example, if you have a Magnum Opus in your hand and you Stim Hack, you cannot install the Magnum Opus unless you have a personal workshop out for most other runners. But with Hayley, you don't need a personal workshop. All you need is an SMC or a clone chip, install stuff, and then install the Magnum Opus straight from your hand. That's one less combo piece you need to enable the Stim Hack Opus combo, and that is huge. The less combo pieces, Stim Hack into SMC or Stim Hack into clone chip is already a 2-card combo, which is not good. To streamline that with Hayley's ability, being able to reliably bring out Magnum Opus once you have instant tutor effect is pretty huge. And this is why I really like it. And another thing I want to mention with the first paragraph as you read here, don't get tunnel vision and focus on maximizing the use of Hayley's ability. It's very tempting, but sometimes if you need that SMC, you just install it without Hayley's ability. That's fine. The worst thing you can do is to keep all the powerful cards in your hand waiting for another card of the same type to appear before installing them both. That will only slow you down more because you don't get access to those powerful cards as early as you might have liked. Finally, Personal Workshop. I need to give a big shout out to this card. It is absolutely amazing. Especially in Hayley, you have no idea. All the drip economy that came out from Personal Workshop, I should be doing a count on it. It saved me so many credits this game. It's a paid campaign for the runner, and it allows for some awesome combos. Plus 3 into Net Ready Ice. It's amazing. Some of you might be thinking, hey, what's the point? You're spending money to install Plus Creed, and then why don't you just play Net Ready Ice normally instead? The thing is, Plus Creed can be installed at a discounted cost if you already have it on Personal Workshop, which was the case in my example. In this game, I only required 2 credits to bring the Plus Creed out. So it was a matter of, do I want to spend 2 credits to get the Plus Creed out and install the Net Ready Ice for edit, or do I want to install the Net Ready Ice straight from my hand and lose 2 cards? 2 credits or 2 cards? Obviously, I choose 2 credits, and that's great. That really allowed me to save cards for when in a situation where I really needed to keep cards in my hand because he was completely denying my rig and burning off all my cards in my heap. Finally, some of you might realize that this deck is pretty similar to some Nasir decks, and that's pretty true. This works just like Nasir decks in the sense that you get a lot of burst economy, and you use that burst economy to either liberate stuff off Personal Workshop or summon expensive stuff from your deck using SMC. The only difference is that instead of Parasite, Data Sucker, Recursion that Nasir decks usually employ, or Crescentus, here I'm using the most efficient breakers in the game. York, David, and Lady all break ice subroutines for 0 credits, and that's so essential. Blanking out an opponent's ice suite is the best thing you can do right now, and I think Hayley is in a prime position to leverage on that. These are some very expensive programs to install with Stim Hack that really elevates the pain along with Magnum Opus. And of course, you don't suffer the drawback that Nasir typically does. Hayley is a very powerful runner, and people should be experimenting with her more. I think she definitely has potential to be tier 1 if people can get are willing to explore around instead of just sticking to same old kit. Well, that's all I have. Thanks for watching, and happy net running. Goodbye.